Hello everybody, I want to talk about World of Warcraft for a moment because the Shadowlands Pre-Patch is out as of today, and that means a lot of different things for the game, but I want to talk to two people in particular. You're either the person who has never played World of Warcraft, in which case I want to talk to you, and maybe you're a person who has lapsed from World of Warcraft and sees Shadowlands or sees some of the things about it and is like, oh, this is interesting, and you're interested in coming back. So like basically, I want to talk to the people who are either have never played or haven't played in a while, because some really cool things have happened within the game that you need to know about. Even, yes, especially you, person who's never played the game. And there are a significant amount of people who are on the channel who have never played World of Warcraft before. And I want to put it forward to be like, look, it's honestly, it's not for everybody. You know, MMOs are a unique thing, but on this channel, I play a lot of RPGs, and I would say that for the most part, World of Warcraft is a big inspiration for the channel to begin with. It was the reason why the channel started, and it was honestly one of the reasons why I had, you know, many of the people on the channel that I've had over the years, like Six Pounder, for example, is a good friend of mine, and I met him through World of Warcraft. So it's like World of Warcraft is very important to me. It's important to the channel. And I want to say that it should be important to you, whether or not you like it or not. That's an entire different thing, but we'll get to that. So let's jump in. Let's talk about what the heck is going on in this game and why suddenly a 16-year-old MMO is in the forefront of discussion at the moment. So the first thing that we should jump in and talk about is the fact that there is a new expansion coming later this year called Shadowlands, which you don't really need to know much about it other than it so far is appearing to be quite good. In fact, it was really scary for a minute there because they were going to release it on the 28th of October, and based on where the beta has been with balance and some of the iteration that they've done on the game in the beta, it was a little scary because the game wasn't ready. But they agreed, and they actually delayed it for later in the year, and that is a good thing. But that also means that they're getting more time to develop and make the expansion even better. And to be honest, this may very well be, if things go well with, you know, just basic expansion launch stuff, this may very well be one of the best expansions for the game, period. But that, you know, should be one reason for you to come back as a reoccurring player who maybe has lapsed and hasn't played in a while, right? You know, new expansions, that's not anything new for the reoccurring players. They come back usually during a new expansion, they play for a bit, and then they've had their fill and they take off. But why that is important for a new player is because of all of the really freaking cool stuff that they just changed in the game to make your experience as a brand new player the best one that it can be. So the first thing that they've done in order to do that is by making a new starting experience. So levels 1 through 10. Instead of, you know, going through whatever, you know, race starting area, say you picked undead on the horde, you would go through, you know, the undead starting area normally. Well, now as a brand new player who's never played World of Warcraft, it automatically throws you into a new experience called Exile's Reach, and that is something that just takes you from level 1 to 10 and very, very cleverly teaches you how to play the game. It teaches you about mechanics in the game and everything that you're going to experience as you level up, which is really, really well done. And at the end of the experience, you do like a small little dungeon, which you could queue and do as solo, but if you get people, you can do it with other people as well. And that is a really nice change of pace, because before, even though the game wasn't too obtuse, you know, you can jump in and learn it if you were a new player, if you were willing to jump in and try to put some time into it. But now the game just walks you through it and teaches you everything you need to know in a really streamlined experience. And so you go through 1 to 10 as a brand new player in this new experience, getting all this cool new stuff. But then once you are out of that, if you've never played World of Warcraft before, it throws you into the latest expansion called Battle for Azeroth. Now, you may have heard some bad things about that expansion, but honestly, most of that stuff is now out. out. You don't have to worry about that bad stuff anymore. The leveling experience isn't poor. It's actually quite nice. It's quite modern. It feels really nice to level through, and you're going to level up fairly quickly. Once you hit level 50, which again is the current max level until Shadowlands comes out, then when you go and make a new character, you're going to have a couple other different experiences that you can choose from. And I think this is what is really, really cool, and something that as both a new player or a recurring player should pay a lot of attention to. So there is a thing called Chromie time. And if you have even just the smallest amount of World of Warcraft information, you know that over the years there have been quite a few different expansions that have launched and, you know, made a huge kerfuffle in the gaming world. That is for good reason, but usually, and in past experiences, what you would do is you would, you know, start at level 1, you would get to about level 10, doing your racial starting area. So again, if you played like an undead, you would do the undead starting area. And then you would level up from there, going through the content in what is kind of like when it came out, like chronological order of when it came out. So you would get up to level 60 or 58, and then you would start Burning Crusade. And then from there you would go to Wrath of the Lich King. But the problem was, by going through these expansions in this order all the way up until now 120, which even though that is now gone, that was the old level cap, you would out-level the heck out of those expansions, and you would never finish that content. And it was awful to do, and it felt awful to do. So they changed it. Now you no longer jump from expansion to expansion. You literally go and you pick through a little gnome called Chromie, who does time travel stuff. Look, I'm not going to explain the lore of World of Warcraft in this video, and nor would I even want to attempt it. There is some interesting, strange stuff there, but that's something that you can experience on your own by just playing the game. But there's this gnome that can send you to one of those expansions to level 2. So basically, if you've already gotten to level 50 on your brand new character, or maybe you start a new character, you have the option of being like, well, I don't want to do Battle for Azeroth. It's not something that I want to play again, or there's all these other expansions worth of content from 16 years of World of Warcraft that I want to experience. So let's go try one of those. So you could just go and pick Legion, for example, which is lauded as a really, really good expansion, or you could go do Wrath of the Lich King, which a lot of people also really liked. But, you know, those will have different leveling times associated with them, not too far off. You're only talking the difference of hours. You know, it's not like you're going to be spending a week leveling in the game just to get to level 120, which is kind of what you had to do before. No, that time is way more truncated into just the experience of leveling in a expansion. And that is such a cool little change that they've made, because it means that new players who've never played the game, maybe you're one of these players, you can jump into the game, you can experience the new Exiles Reach 1 to 10, and then from 10 to 50, you can play Battle for Azeroth, and you know everything that's going on in the story. Boom, you're caught up, you're ready for Shadowlands. But then you want to start a new character, so you go make a new, level 1 character. You can skip over Exiles Reach if you don't want to do it. You can go and do some of the old world leveling, depending on, what race you chose. Or you could do Exiles Reach. Probably should do Exiles Reach. It's a bit better as an experience, in my opinion. But then you get to go pick an expansion. You're like, well, I want to play Legion, or you know what, I want to play Wrath of the Lich King, or I want to play Mists of Pandaria, and you just level through those experiences, and you understand the content that was there at that level to do it when it first came out, and that is such a cool change that I cannot stress enough. Like, as a new player or as a reoccurring player who maybe missed an expansion or two, this is literally the perfect thing for you as a player to come and experience that stuff that you may have missed. So essentially, that's like the biggest thing about this pre-patch, is that it introduces the leveling squish. So everybody now is max level 50 until Shadowlands comes out. And it redoes the leveling experience. And, with the fact that mobs scale to what you're at, your level, that is, as you're leveling up, and you're able to, if you really want to do dungeons, you could just queue for them, and you can, be level 10 doing a Legion dungeon, which is not something that you could normally do unless you were level like 100 or 110. And it's like, it's a really nice welcome change for people. They've made a bunch of other changes as far as leveling stuff. So if you're a reoccurring player, you should know that heirlooms, which are these items. So if you've never even played World of Warcraft before, it's basically an item that levels with you. It scales to whatever level you're at, so that way you're not having to change out your gear constantly. You know, you can have some set pieces on your character that just remain the same. You can change the way they look, and you can have like enchants on them, and then they just are going to remain with you all the way for leveling up. Well, those used to provide a flat XP bonus, but that is no longer the case. They now have removed those bonuses and have added a set bonus for wearing a certain amount of pieces. If you wear all of the pieces, you're going to be essentially consuming rested experience, which is the bonus experience you gain while you're logged off. You're going to be consuming that less, but it will be, you know, benefiting you longer. And then when you level up, you'll have like this really cool explosion that gives you a bunch of extra stats that you can go and just level even faster, and that effect can stack too. So it's this cool, again, it's this really cool experience that makes the leveling way more streamlined and way more approachable by any average player. You don't have to be a World of Warcraft pro to level, you know, within 10 hours or even 5 hours if you're really quick. In order to do that, you could just jump in and be a normal dude who's never played World of Warcraft before and enjoy the game for the first time. And I think that that is their biggest accomplishment in 2020, is being able to have an experience that new players and reoccurring players can both enjoy and both be able to have a shared experience over. And this is, in my opinion, the first time in World of Warcraft history that is possible, that a brand new player can come in with a reoccurring player or a set of reoccurring players or a long-term player and be able to enjoy the game together, because, you know, you're able to level essentially at the same pace, leveling up to 50. You're not having to go through 120 levels. You're not having to jump around to all these different expansions and have your friend who's been playing World of Warcraft for 16 years tell you what's going on, because you're not actually getting most of the story there. It's like, yeah, it is a perfect time to come and play if you've never played before. Now, some information for some reoccurring players or long-term players of WoW. They've gone through and done a lot of class changes here. There's a couple things, a couple classes that haven't been changed, or their changes are pending, like Windwalker monks or survival hunters. RIP, they just haven't been touched at the moment, but that doesn't mean that they won't be touched before Shadowlands. We'll see how that ends up happening. But the vast majority of classes and specs have been done different, or have been rebalanced, or their talents have been rearranged, or new talents have been introduced to make the class more enjoyable, more fun, have the flow a lot better. So there's a lot of class changes here, but I think the standouts for me is the fact that you have certain talents that are coming in and replacing traits or Azerite traits, or even reintroducing artifact weapon stuff from Legion, like abilities from Legion that are now like baseline stuff or in your talent tree or stuff like that. So there's pieces of your class that you may see from the past returning in really cool ways, or even things that got removed way back when they pruned a bunch of the abilities, because there was a point in World of Warcraft history where you had so many abilities on your character and you only used like 10% of them. So they removed a bunch of just stuff that didn't need to be there. Well, they added some of that stuff back depending on what class you are. And, you know, a good example is like a mage. You can be a fire mage, but now you can cast Arcane Explosion. You don't get completely locked out of some arcane or some frost spells. You have those as an option to be able to use for your character. So, you know, there's some cool, flavorful stuff that they've added back for your characters. But as a whole, classes have been rebalanced and changed in a way that makes them, I think, flow a lot better. And I think the last two things that I really want to talk about is the pre-patch event that's supposed to be going on, which is the Scourge Invasion. If that sounds familiar to you and you've played World of Warcraft before, it's because they did a Scourge Invasion event back when, and Scourge being like undead, back when Wrath of the Lich King came out. Well, they're doing something kind of similar to that for Shadowlands, but it's not live yet. It will be when we get closer to Shadowlands, but at the moment it is not live, which is actually kind of nice because it gives you a lot more things to go and do, you know, in the game, where without having to worry about this crazy undead event going on throughout the entire game. With that said, there are, and this is the second thing I want to talk about, there are so many things to do in the game outside of that now, because they added a bunch of customization changes and options for characters within World of Warcraft. The biggest ones being, if you create a new character or you go to a barber shop within the game, you know, you can change the look of your character. And for most of the base races, the non-allied races, so allied races being like Dark Iron Dwarves or Zandalari Trolls, or the Volpera, those things, they didn't really gain these changes, but all of the allied races, for the most part, had a good customization across the board, minus, you know, some standout examples here and there. But for the most part, they didn't really need it. Maybe they gained a couple hairstyles here and there during this, but all of the base races gained so much customization. Night Elves, for example, can put like leaves in their hair, and Blood Elves could put all this like cool jewelry on now, and they have so many more hairstyles and hair colors, and Druids can pick what their individual druid forms look like if you've unlocked different ones through either the artifact system in Legion, or through having specific like transmog weapons from Firelands to make your cat form be this cool fire cat form. So you could change all that in the barbershop now. And if you are a returning player and you haven't heard about this or you don't know about it, go to a barbershop and just look at the cool new customizations that you have on your current existing characters. But then on top of that, there is a bunch of new rules for transmogrification stuff, so, which means like changing the look of your armor. So the Legion expansion added all these cool weapons, and those weapons were tied to your specialization for your class. So you could be, you know, an arms warrior or protection warrior or a fury warrior, but those each would gain different weapons depending on what specialization they were. And with these new rules, you can actually equip those different artifact weapons on your character and not have to worry about those rules anymore. So you don't have to be a protection warrior in order to use, you know, specific protection warrior transmogs from Legion. So there's just like a bunch of stuff like that if you are a returning player or a new player and you hit level 50, and you're like, I really want my character to look really cool, I'm going to hunt down specific items that I can add to my transmog list and make my items look like that, then you can go back and do old raids and whatnot and find all of these really cool items. And especially with the new transmog rules, it makes everything way, way better. And the amount of customization that you can have on your character now in World of Warcraft in 2020 is so far beyond what it was just a year ago. It's insane. And heck, if you made a character that was a female character and you're like, you know what? I'm playing a warrior. I kind of like the bigger armor on the male characters. Crap. Before you would have to go and pay actual physical money to get a sex change on your character. You don't have to do that anymore. You just go to the barber. Don't ask how this happens. It's just a game mechanic, right? You just go in and you change the sex of your character from male or female just by paying some gold. And that is such a big difference, because I know I have in the past made a male character and I'm like, I'm level 50 now and I've leveled all this time and I'm kind of regretting what I've made. Do I go back and recreate it? Like, what do I do here? Well, that's, all of the new customization stuff is available at the barber, and it makes it so you don't really have any regrets once you hit a certain point, because you could just go change it whenever you want to. So all of this stuff, including all of the quality of life changes that this patch brings, through leveling and just miscellaneous stuff, class changes, customization, all of this stuff together is a good enough reason for either a brand new player to come play the game, because it is the perfect time for you to try World of Warcraft for the first time. It's never been a better time for you to try this game if you've never played it, and kind of see what all the hubbub was about and how this game actually did significantly alter the future of what video games look like. Or if you're a reoccurring player or a returning player, this is the perfect time for you to come back and be like, what has changed? What's different? Oh, Shadowlands is coming out. What are they adding? You know, all of this cool different stuff coming in the expansion. So I would say that, yeah, if you are even in the slightest considering coming and playing the game, absolutely do it. In fact, if you ever need people to come play with, I have a really friendly guild of people that I've been playing with for years now, since like 2011, and I love them to bits. But you can come play with them too. In fact, you can come and learn about the game and chat with it with me whenever I'm online, because I'm going to put my recruiter friend link in the description and in the comments. So you can just click on that and create your account if you've never played the game before, and you know, have an experience where you're getting some free stuff from that, but also, you know, having actual people that you're able to talk to. And then if that is something you want to do and you see me online after doing that, hit me up. Obviously, chat with me. I love talking about video games at any point, but then I'll invite you to the OSW community, which means that you're not locked into a guild, but on that character, you'll be in a community that you can actually chat with people. But then if you are making a character happens to be on whatever server cluster I'm on now, they just combined a bunch of servers together to make like mega servers. So I can't actually tell you what all servers are adjacent on the one that I'm on, but it's like Dawnbringer and Mataran, and there's a couple other random ones. But if you happen to be there, then you can also get an invite to our guild. But this is literally the most exciting time for World of Warcraft for me. It's like right before an expansion with all of these really cool changes, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into it. The only problem for me, and you've probably noticed it in the footage in the background, is being so early to jump on the pre-patch because it just came out today means that all of my interface add-ons are broken, and I'm very peculiar. There we go, with my interface. So it's going to take me a couple weeks to get it all working again. But hey, once it is, I do plan on putting up a full interface guide. So if you are new and you play for a bit doing the default interface, then that's totally fine. I suggest doing it because in, a week or two, maybe closer to a month, I'm going to have a full interface guide up on how to set up your interface in a really, really efficient way that will feel modern, will make you play better, and just in general will make the game feel a little bit more tactile and playable. But if you have any questions, ask them in the comments below, and I will get back to them as soon as I can. I love World of Warcraft. I play quite a bit, but on the same side of that, I'm really excited for Shadowlands. And I was really excited for Battle for Azeroth, and that turned out not to be a great expansion. But from what I'm seeing and what I have spoken to with different people, Shadowlands has learned a lot from that, and they are going to go in a way better direction that I cannot wait for. Hell, there's even a mode in Shadowlands which is basically like playing Hades, and I can't express how excited I am to experience that. Like, you have no idea. I love Hades, and having that same kind of feel in World of Warcraft is going to be cool because I like repeatable content. It's just what I do. Hell, I love Diablo, so I can't really talk badly against repeatable content that is replayable and randomized every time. But I'm looking forward to Shadowlands. Again, if you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. If you're a new player, please try the game out. I think that, again, this is the perfect time for you to try this game. And this isn't me trying to sell a game to you. This is me just saying, like, look, this is a chance for you to experience something everybody else in the world has had some connection to at one point. And then on top of that, if you're paying, the monthly subscription for World of Warcraft, either through gold or through money, depending on how much gold you end up making in the game or whatever, you also gain access to World of Warcraft Classic. So if you really want to see what the game was like 15 years ago, 16 years ago when it first came out, you can also go and try that, and it comes with the game naturally, so that's also an option, but not something I'm going to talk about in this video. With all that being said, though, thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you guys next time.